Good people of the channel, they have once again let me loose in the wild with lithium batteries. Let's come to my favourite testing venue and see what's up with the newest generation of lithium AA rechargeables. And yes, you infer with total accuracy, this is a partner video, so do have a look at the description for a deal for early adopters of these units. Greetings, good people of the channel. Now, today we're going to be talking about batteries. I talk about batteries quite a lot on the channel, normally big, powerful ones that drive vehicles and boats and all sorts of things like that. But today we're going to be circling back a little bit towards smaller battery types. And you may well remember back towards the early days of the channel, in fact it must have been probably more than 3 years ago now, I talked about some rechargeable lithium AA batteries, and I wasn't particularly taken with the concept at the time, but maybe things have moved on. Maybe the tech has improved, systems and the sort of specs that people are offering on the market have been honed and made more efficient. So let's see what's going on now. There's a company called Linogy, and they got in contact with me to see whether I would take a look at and appraise their newest range of products, which they are enormously proud of. And I said yes. And as I did tell you, in fact, in the last episode, I will be entirely honest. I have the green light from the company to tell you exactly what I think, because that matters. There's no point just doing a puff piece. So I've been sent 3 different types of product. Usefully, given that this is a battery test, we're going to be getting 2 different types, AA's and AAA's, the 2 standard small batteries that people put in, small personal devices, and then a charging unit. And I've not even opened this yet, so we will do the grand unboxing in a second. And I'm going to take you through like a general sense of how I feel that these fit into the marketplace, because of course we all know that through history there have been all sorts of types of small batteries that we put in, clocks, cameras, weighing scales. They are a fairly ubiquitous sort of small power source around the home for when you don't want to plug something in using an AC or a DC adapter. And of course, looking back through history, there have been lots of small batteries, mostly of those 2 different cylinder types, which have run through decades. There's, of course, the alkaline battery. There were even some which predated that, which were single use and performed even worse. NiCads, I vaguely remember those from when I was a kid. That was the first type of mass production, as far as I'm aware, mass produced, commonly used rechargeable batteries. And again, their performance was average, to say the best. There was nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries, which came onto the market. They had some self-discharge issues. I think the early performance was pretty average, only a little bit better than NiCad, but they have been improved in the years since with low self-discharge versions. And so that is one sort of niche of AA and AAA batteries, which appear to be finding their place in the market. There are single-use lithium AA's and AAA's, which are, again, performing a certain purpose. They're quite expensive, but they do have quite good power characteristics. And that leaves us now with the idea of having lithium, which is very common, of course, in the 3.7 to 4.2-ish volts category, which powers cameras and phones and all sorts of stuff like that. There's, standard lithium ion, lithium polymer battery you have in in most of your devices, and also 12 volt, 24 volt larger battery systems that you might have, starting an engine or powering a boat, leisure batteries, caravan batteries, and so on. But that is still leaving one niche unfilled, which is a high performance, rechargeable, long cycle life AA or AAA battery. And you will remember from that previous video that I was looking at one of the early entrants to the rechargeable lithium ion AA family. I wasn't that impressed. And this is where, hopefully a few years later on, with a lot more thought and artistry, I'm going to see whether Linogy have added something to that stable worth buying. Okay, we don't need any more of me sat on a barrel talking to you. You want to see how these things actually look, so we'll do the unboxing. And I've not opened these yet, so this will be a genuine surprise for me, whatever we find inside. First of all, here's a pack of 4 AAA Linogy's. So first impressions, quite impressed with the fact that they've gone for, I think, what is obviously called eco packaging. In fact, it says 100% recyclable packaging, water-based ink packaging, and plastic-free packaging. So they are seriously thinking about that, because of course there is absolutely no need to swaddle all of these in lots and lots of plastic, as is so often the way with manufacturers these days. Actually, it feels kind of sort of textured and cardboardy. Maybe this is a special type of special sort of cardboard. Anyway, feels robust. It keeps them obviously from short-circuiting in transit. Right, we've got 4 AAA lithium batteries, and they're all different colours. Mixed feelings about this. Colourful. This was definitely going to set them apart from their competitors on the market visually. The only thing is, it's sort of, to me, it slightly suggests that they are different types of batteries, maybe different ones from within a range, but perhaps different capacities. But I, of course, do know that these are all exactly the same capacity. There's something about having uniform colours across all of the batteries in a certain device which looks, I don't know, proper, reassuring. I don't know about that. So maybe I would have preferred to have a choice of colours, so you would have all 4 in the pack, all of them yellow, all of them red, all of them blue, all of them green. Who knows, that may be an option that comes across in the future. Anyway, they give us one of those packs of 4 different colours to start with. They look like AA batteries. There's nothing particularly of note here, I have to say. Okay, let's go for the 8-pack of AA batteries. And I have half opened this before, so I've already lied to you horrendously. Anyway, out they come again. Same sort of packaging, so put my hands so they don't all fall out. Right, I'm actually, yeah, that's the same sort of textured packaging as before. It feels slightly plasticized, but they do promise this is plastic-free packaging, so they've done something here. This is definitely sort of cardboard based. Yeah, happy with that. That could just be a bit of disposable plastic, and they've really thought about that carefully. Same sort of principle. We've got all sorts of different colours. In fact, more than just 4 colours here. We've got, goodness me, I only operate in primary colours, so that's some kind of, we've got a sort of a pastel blue, we've got a strong green, we've got a yellow, we've got an orange. Everyone likes orange, as we know, because you like my channel and everything on my channel is orange. We have dark blue, we have a lighter green, we have another yellow, very similar. I don't know what they're doing with the colours. It's kind of fun though. And then we have a red there on the left. I'm afraid that doesn't really tell you much about the batteries, but they are different colours. And the tops, instead of being white, are gold. Again, fine. It's that makes no particular difference to anyone, I don't think. I presume that foil is not conductive. I will actually check that later on, because it would be best if it's not, I would personally argue. Right, we've got 8 batteries. Good news. Right, so the third of the 3, the larger box, of course, to be unpacked is the charger itself. Right, we're in, no problem at all. What do we have inside here? Again, really carefully thought out packaging. It feels really sturdy and robust. This is very high grade cardboard packaging to keep it safe in transit. There is some instructions, which we'll look through in a second, because I don't know how fluently and how comprehensively these have been written yet, but they look fairly straightforward. Okay, let's take out the unit. So it's reasonably large, and how is this all done? So there's a protective film around the edge, which advises us to use a power adapter of 15 watts or higher, presumably to get the best possible performance. Okay, let's take that off. And inside, okay, what has happened is a little bit of the inside, which I think is one of the little AAA to AA adapters, has sort of got caught in there. So that should now slide out, maybe. Right, push that down. There has been a little bit of movement in transit. No, that's, got to be honest, that's kind of stuck. Yeah, so inside, those little adapters have got stuck under there. And I don't want to yank anything. Because there's a little cardboard box inside there with a power adapter in, and currently it's kind of jammed.
I passed this feedback back to Linogy, and they immediately got back to me and saying they will not make this mistake in proper production units.
So I think this might be intentional. I think this is to make sure that everyone who buys a Linogy product is truly mechanically sympathetic. I think that's an excellent move. Okay, right, no, we're making progress. We're out. Yeah, this cardboard here was being forced up by the little adapters which were sitting below. I think they need to be, this is only a little thing. I just think that these need to be stowed away more securely during transit, because otherwise that could happen quite easily again. Inside here, in fact, all it was holding was the power adapter, which is a simple USB-C to USB-C cable. It's nice and waxy, which encourages
me to say that the quality is on the right side of good. I'm going to say a meter, maybe slightly out, but that's about a meter long. Fine. Not too long, not too short. Too long can always get in the way of things. Too short is annoying. And it plugs in there. Very straightforward. One of them is right angle, one of them is straight. Cool. That works well. So far, so good. Let's get all of these little adapters out the way. So that storage drawer at the bottom just goes back in there. All right, let's see how that actually operates, and I'll be going to another location for the actual testing itself because quite understandably my lovely hosts here at the unit don't want me doing lots of electrical shenanigans on their watch, which is fair enough.
First though, let's interrogate the mechanics.
Okay, let's see how they fit in. AA first, which is what they're natively designed for. Goes in nicely, feels secure, and pops out with a fingernail. Perfect. Let's try the AAA, which is now inside its little adapter. It goes in, slots in. Oh, hello.
Again, I fed this back and I have confirmation that they've already fixed that mechanism so that the AAAs don't fall through.
That drawer is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Let's put that in again. Okay, so you've got to be a little bit more careful. It fits in fine, and yeah, you can just about get it out with your fingernail, but these are, I would argue, very slightly smaller than the actual AA, whereas with the AA, that's not going anywhere. So it won't affect the charging, I don't think, because it's still a perfectly good fit on the negative sprung bit there. So I guess there are pros and cons to their design here. All the electrics is going on in this top sort of inch or so of the unit, but if you open up the storage bin here, which I argue, yeah, definitely has a use, sometimes there's always a question mark about where you actually put all your batteries once they're charged. Obviously there are little ridges here so that they don't roll around, and this is like a nice rubbery material, which means that it won't be scratching the batteries. But anyway, you stick them all in, that's fine. So they're quite a bit longer than the battery, but not quite long enough for two, so you are limited to rows of one. And then let's just see, I guess, you can stack them up a second level there. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst idea in the world. I can see the logic behind it, but you are more than doubling the size of the charger unit just by having this storage bin inside. And some people will have alternative storage and just will see this as a bit of an addition that isn't really necessary.
A little more insight on that mysterious storage area. It's not quite as spurious as it looks. Either manually or automatically on charge completion, batteries drop down. Kinda nifty, but you still need to manually replace a new set to charge. It's not like you can charge the box's capacity of 40 cells without supervision. I ran through the basic charge process. Fixed rate, automatic, with state of charge and faulty cell check as standard. That was unremarkable, but I'll mention the pace in a moment. There's one visual display, proudly using e-ink, not an LED, sort of Kindle-esque. This was a letdown. My sample is not counting the charged batteries as claimed at all, and to be honest I prefer a more technical, less eco-focused display. I did of course feed this back, and the response was that this is not a faulty unit. You actually have to charge each battery by at least a third of its capacity for it to register as a battery charged, which is fair enough. These cells have a nominal, but not a fixed, 1.5 volt output. This is a divergence in design choice from the other lithium AA rechargeables that use a little internal regulator. Since the lithium cell at its heart apparently needs more charge voltage, input is 5 volts. I ran my discharge analysis software across a sample of supplied batteries to see how we do in terms of performance for these. I'm running this for individual cells, not battery packs. The testing hardware can run independently, but does better sending readouts to the PC software. Let's start with the larger AA. It claims 3,600 milliwatt-hours capacity, which sits at the upper end of this market sub-niche. I like capacities displayed in this format as opposed to amp hours, regardless of whether a battery is constant regulated voltage or as here with a discharge curve. Linogy asked me to test at a rather kind 0.2 C, which is half an amp in this case. I have obliged, but like the rogue I am, also tested a couple at a more demanding 0.8 C, which at 2 amps is the max they rate the batteries to. Even this should be noted as being quite a modest current for lithium. But first, these are the results for half an amp. We're getting a very consistent discharge profile, not quite like a raw lithium curve, so the little buckaroo in there is modifying the output. The drop-off at exhaustion is sudden, and I set my own cutoff at 0.95 volts, but the internal 1 volt cutoff got there instead. Results, a fraction under 3 watt hours, and this is representative of the 3 I tested. That's 16% less than claimed, and at a modest current. Okay, let's do the 2 amp draw. Normally I do constant power, but have done as I'm told with constant current instead. Similar curve, and don't worry about that flat bit in the middle. My laptop went to sleep and that's a quirk of the software. This time I think it was my cutoff that got there first, as the battery voltage recovered once load was released, instead of cutting to 0. The capacity at 4 times the current of before was around 2.5 watt hours. This is 30% less than build, but I'd say a fair showing considering that it's the cell's rating limit, although I'd still argue not a very ambitious one at below 1C. As the rigorous and egalitarian tester that you know me to be, I did of course also test the AAA batteries at the various discharge levels, but I didn't have a spec sheet at the time, and in discussion with Linogy, we did feel that it was unfair for me to publish those results here, because they were not discharge levels that AAA batteries are normally subjected to, and so we thought it was fairer just to draw a line under that one. For the record though, I was actually reasonably impressed with the performance that those AAAs put under my quite demanding testing standards, so there you go. Testing done. A reminder that at this early stage in the Linogy journey, via their crowdfund method, you good people can scroll down to the description to retrieve your discount. Let's look a little closer at the specifications and the AA's first. Nothing wildly unexpected here. Lithium ion is rather vague, but I did ask, and I was semi-casually told that they are lithium ternary, which suggests either NMC or NCA metals in there. Puzzling, given what I'll show you in a moment. Capacity as established before, but do note that if powering something more demanding like a headlamp, you'll squeeze out much less. Charging speed matches the charger of course, which is needed unless you investigated the charging profile Linogy use and not in a generic smart charger. 350 mA is sprightly for small batteries, and I wonder if the cycle life could be further improved by going slow. Initial voltage is 1.5 volts, although this is not quite right, and in reality juiced up they get to just under 1.6 volts. I'm told their internal protection shuts the battery down at 1 volt and needs to be revived in the charger. 5 volts charging does puzzle me. Perhaps the unbucked lithium cell in there, which will be full at just over 4 volts, is being charged raw as it were, and the buck converter is just there in the output circuit. Cycle life 1200 cycles, which is typical for a quality lithium ion cell, but again I suspect only if treated kindly without discharging to full exhaustion each time and only running at half an amp or less. Charging temperature is normal, as all wise channel members know that lithium ion batteries can be knackered by charging below freezing. Linogy doesn't provide a discharge temperature range online, as often it's easier not to enter into discussion that might cause later headaches. Their booklet for testing partners does though claim a -20 as a low limit, which is typical. I do find claims about memory effect odd in 2025. It's no longer a notable comparison, and the fast charging and lifetime claims are a little bit forced. You can charge nickel metal hydride at the same 350 mA rate if you like, and of course a rechargeable battery will be used more times than a single-use battery. I mentioned this being a ternary lithium cell type. These are well known as being of the more dangerous variety and liable to catch fire if attacked or abused. But Linogy are proud that theirs can withstand a serious physical impact. I wonder if they have some sort of proprietary safety feature in there, like absorbing gel or a shield, or if the ternary metals are non-standard. Linogy also claim a low self-discharge rate of 12% per year or 6 months, depending on which page you read. I think these cells are a superior choice to other lithium AA's on sale today, even if some fixed voltage cells have inbuilt USB charging ports. But you can only charge these cells in a Linogy charger or one that mimics the charge process. The AA's don't have a spec sheet that I've seen, but in practice only the capacity will be lower, and it is. 1300 mAh isn't much, but these are dinky batteries, and given the fact that there's a protection board in there too, it's impressive to fit in any lithium at all. I also wish the charger had slots for these and didn't require the plastic size adapters. The charger boasts all the basic safety features that will stop it destroying batteries as they are analysed and charged. As well as identifying and rejecting faulty or single-use cells, it can also charge competitors' lithiums, NiCads and nickel metal hydride cells, but I gather only with the one fixed charging profile, which could prove inappropriate. We know most of this. It's a chunky thing and it does need a 3 amp 15 watt power supply for that USB-C cable. I would rather have a more technical readout display that works, and I'm not totally convinced the auto drop and store function is worth the size and weight penalty. It does also encourage you to pick out batteries stored at the top to use again and again, leaving others languishing below and so unbalancing the cell counts across your battery collection. But that is nitpicking.
Well, that was pretty high adrenaline, exciting stuff. I've been quite positively surprised. I didn't know exactly what I was going to come across. I guess I went a bit slightly cynical because I'd had a negative experience with one of the early market lithium rechargeable AA's, and so yeah, things have come on a great deal. And so I have mentioned it before in the video, but if you are interested in particular the products from Linogy, then do head into the description. There are all sorts of links there for you. And otherwise, thank you very much for your attention. There will be all sorts of artistry, tech, excitement and innovation coming up in my next episodes, as those of you who are loyal to the channel will already know. Anyhow, until then, cheers. Bye.